The rain pattered softly against the sleek glass doors of St. Mercy Hospital as Ethan Cross, a billionaire CEO, known for his cold efficiency, strode in, briefcase in hand. He had a meeting scheduled, another deal to finalize, another day in the empire he had built with ruthless precision. But as he glanced at the crowded waiting area, something froze him in place. A small boy, no more than 6, clutched a worn teddy bear, his eyes wide with fear and wonder. And next to him stood a woman, trembling as she held back tears. Ethan's breath caught in his chest. The resemblance was undeniable. The boy had his eyes, his jawline, his stubborn curl of dark hair. A truth he had never imagined yet had somehow always feared now hit him like a lightning bolt. This child was his. Ethan Cross had always believed that life was about control. Every contract he signed, every skyscraper he erected, every deal he closed, it all reinforced his belief that power and precision were the only things that mattered. His reputation as a ruthless CEO had been earned, not inherited, and he wore it like armor. Love, family, and vulnerability had no place in his world, or so he thought. That morning, he entered St. Mercy Hospital for a routine meeting with the hospital board regarding a potential investment. The sterile scent of antiseptic, the muted beeping of machines, and the soft shuffle of nurses' shoes usually made him impatient. But today, his steps slowed. Something in the corner of the waiting room caught his eye. A small boy, holding a teddy bear, looking frightened yet remarkably familiar. Ethan froze. The child's dark hair curled slightly at the ends, the same stubborn curl that Ethan himself had. His deep brown eyes, wide with curiosity and fear, mirrored Ethan's own. And beside the boy, a woman early 30s, graceful yet tense, stood, holding his hand, her eyes brimming with tears. For a moment, Ethan felt the air leave his lungs. This couldn't be real. He had always been careful, no mistakes, no loose ends, no surprises. Yet here was a surprise that threatened to upend everything he thought he knew about life. "Excuse me," the woman said softly, glancing at him with a mixture of hope and fear. "Are you Ethan Cross?" His throat went dry. How did she know his name? And then it hit him, the way she held the boy, the way she glanced between them. The boy's small hand gripped hers tightly, as if seeking protection from the world, and maybe from Ethan himself. "Yes," he finally managed to say, his voice almost a whisper. The woman's gaze softened, and she nodded slightly. "I'm Isabella. This is Lucas, your son?" Time stopped. Ethan's heart pounded as if trying to escape his chest. "My son." The words tasted foreign on his tongue, alien and impossible. He had never known, never even imagined. And yet, the undeniable resemblance in the child's eyes screamed the truth louder than any words ever could. Memories he had long buried. The brief encounter years ago, the fleeting warmth he had once felt for Isabella, the choices he had made to protect his empire rushed back in a wave. And now, standing here in the harsh fluorescent light of a hospital hallway, all of it collided with the new, undeniable reality. He had a son. Lucas stared up at him, small brows furrowed in confusion. Are you really my dad?" The question pierced Ethan more sharply than any boardroom betrayal or financial loss ever had. He knelt slowly, coming down to the boy's level, unsure how to bridge the gap that years of absence had created. I think I am," he said carefully, his voice trembling despite his efforts to stay composed. Isabella swallowed hard, watching the interaction. Her own heart a mix of fear, relief, and unresolved hurt. "I didn't reach out sooner. I wanted to protect him," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know if you were ready or if you even cared." Ethan's mind raced. He had cared, perhaps he had always cared, but his ambition and fear had blinded him. Now, staring into the earnest eyes of his son, seeing the tiny hand that had unknowingly waited for him all these years, he felt a stirring of something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years: responsibility, love, and a desperate desire to make things right. Lucas tugged gently at his sleeve. Will you stay?" Ethan glanced at Isabella, searching for a sign, a clue about how much she trusted him more if she even could. The years of absence weighed heavily between them, a wall built on decisions, regrets, and unspoken words. Yet, in that fragile moment, he knew he couldn't walk away. "Not now. I want to," he said finally, his voice steadier, though his heart thumped wildly. "I want to be here. For you. For both of you." Tears welled in Isabella's eyes, but she nodded, cautiously, as though testing whether he truly meant it. Lucas's face lit up in a tentative, hopeful smile, the first genuine expression of joy he had shown in years. Ethan realized, in that heartbeat, that his life was about to change in ways no deal or boardroom victory could ever match. The empire he had built, the power he had amassed, it all seemed meaningless compared to the tiny hand he now held and the chance to be a father he had never expected to have. The meeting he had come for now seemed irrelevant. Contracts, investments, and profits faded into the background. All that mattered was this moment, the boy who shared his eyes, the woman who still held a piece of his heart, and the possibility of redemption that lay ahead. For the first time in his life, Ethan Cross felt truly vulnerable, and for the first time, he was willing to let that vulnerability guide him. The next few days were a whirlwind for Ethan. For the first time, he traded boardrooms for hospital corridors, high-rises for play. Each moment with Lucas was a lesson in patience and humility, qualities he had long buried under ambition. He watched his son carefully, how he hesitated before opening doors, how he clutched his teddy bear as though it were armor, how laughter could still break through fear. Ethan tried to bridge the years of absence with simple gestures, reading bedtime stories, helping with school projects, and truly listening to the tiny concerns and big emotions of a sick Lucas, wary at first, began to respond. Hesitant smiles turned into tentative laughter, handshakes became hugs, and slowly, a fragile bond started to form, like fragile glass catching the first light of dawn. Isabella, meanwhile, watched everything with caution. Her heart wanted to believe, but her mind remembered the pain of abandonment. "You can't just show up and expect things to be normal," she warned one evening as Ethan lingered after putting Lucas to bed. "He's been without a father all his life, and I don't know if I can trust you yet." Ethan nodded, the weight of regret pressing heavily on him. "I know. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. I want a chance. That's all I'm asking for him. For you. For myself." Days turned into weeks. Ethan's once precise and calculated life began to shift unpredictably. Meetings were rescheduled, dinners were shared with Lucas, and boardroom deals occasionally waited while father and son explored the small joys of life, building Lego towers, drawing superheroes, and sneaking chocolate ice cream when Isabella wasn't looking. Yet, with every smile and laugh, the tension simmered beneath the surface. Lucas's questions sometimes struck like arrows, piercing Ethan's carefully constructed persona. "Why weren't you there for me?" the boy asked one afternoon, voice trembling. Ethan felt the sting of truth. He had no immediate answer that could erase years of absence. "I made mistakes," Ethan admitted softly, sitting on the edge of the small sofa in Lucas's room. "I wasn't brave enough to be here, but I promise, from now on, I'll try every day to be the father you deserve." Lucas's lip quivered. "Do you mean it?" Ethan's hand trembled as he took the boy's small hand in his own. "I mean it more than anything." Despite the budding connection, shadows lingered. Isabella's trust was fractured by the past. Ethan's high-powered life collided with this new reality in constant friction. Board meetings clashed with school recitals. Business calls interfered with bedtime stories. Every day was a negotiation, balancing ambition with love, and learning to surrender the control he had once valued above all else. One evening, as Ethan tucked Lucas into bed, he overheard Isabella on the phone. Her voice was sharp, filled with frustration. "I don't know if he can change. He left us before. What makes you think he won't again?" The words stabbed Ethan more than any corporate loss ever could. The next morning, determined to prove his commitment, Ethan surprised Lucas with a small outing, a trip to the park, complete with ice cream, swings, and a small adventure by the lake. For hours, laughter echoed, blending with the rustling leaves and the gentle flow of the water. Lucas's joy was pure, unfiltered, and Ethan clung to it, realizing that these fleeting moments were far more valuable than any deal he had ever signed. By evening, however, the weight of reality returned. Isabella watched them, her eyes unreadable. "You have a lot to make up for, Ethan," she said quietly, "and I need to see that you can really be here. Not just for Lucas, but for all of us." Ethan nodded, feeling a quiet determination rise within him. "I will. I don't know how long it will take, but I won't give up. Not on him. Not on you." Through the conflicts, the small victories, and the tender moments, a transformation began. Ethan's heart, once armored and unreachable, started to soften. Lucas's innocent faith and Isabella's cautious hope were slowly breaking through years of loneliness and ambition. The once ruthless CEO was learning the value of presence, compassion, and unwavering commitment. Yet, even as bonds strengthened, whispers of the past lingered. Old business rivals, long-forgotten mistakes, and the looming shadow of Ethan's old life threatened the fragile equilibrium he was trying to build. Every step forward was tempered by the knowledge that life could pull him back at any moment. But he was no longer alone in this battle. Together, with Lucas's laughter guiding him and Isabella's wary support shaping him, Ethan faced a new challenge: to transform not just his life, but his soul, to show that love and family could conquer even the most entrenched walls of ambition and fear. And as night fell, Ethan crossed into the small nursery one last time, watching Lucas sleep peacefully, holding the teddy bear close. A quiet promise formed in his heart. No matter the obstacles, no matter the doubts, he would fight for this newfound family, and never walk away again. Months passed, and Ethan's world transformed in ways he had never anticipated. The cold, calculating CEO had learned to navigate love and fatherhood, discovering joys that no boardroom victory could ever provide. Lucas's laughter had become the rhythm of his life, and Isabella's cautious trust was slowly turning into hope. Yet, the past still lingered, threatening the fragile peace he had built. One afternoon, a sudden emergency called him back to the hospital, not for Lucas, but for a major investment deal with the hospital board. The stakes were high, and old instincts tugged him toward control, precision, and detachment. But this time, Ethan hesitated. He looked at Lucas, who was drawing quietly in the corner, and then at Isabella, whose eyes reflected a mixture of worry and faith. Something had shifted inside him. This was no longer just about power, it was about love, responsibility, and the family he had finally embraced. The meeting began, tense and sharp, with board members debating terms and clauses. Ethan listened but did not dominate. Instead of pushing his agenda ruthlessly, he negotiated with empathy, considering the welfare of patients, staff, and the community. The contrast between his past self and the man he had become was stark. His heart, once armored, now guided decisions that balanced ambition with compassion. Meanwhile, Lucas wandered toward him during a break. "Daddy, you're doing great," the boy whispered, his small hand brushing Ethan's sleeve. That simple praise hit Ethan harder than any corporate accolade ever could. He realized that true success wasn't measured in skyscrapers or profits, but in the love, respect, and trust of those who mattered most. After the meeting, Ethan and Isabella sat together in the quiet hospital garden. The tension that had always lingered between them softened, replaced by a shared understanding and mutual respect. "You've changed," Isabella said quietly, her fingers brushing his, "not just for Lucas, but for yourself." Ethan smiled, the weight of guilt and regret slowly lifting. "I had to. I had no choice. Seeing you, it reminded me what life really means." The next day, Ethan surprised Lucas with a visit to a small amusement park. They laughed on the roller coasters, shared cotton candy, and captured memories with endless photos. Lucas's happiness radiated, and Ethan felt an unshakable sense of purpose. He wasn't just a CEO now, he was a father, a protector, and a man willing to embrace vulnerability for the first time in his life. But the ultimate test came when an unexpected health scare struck Lucas. The boy had a minor accident at school, sending Ethan into a panic he had never experienced in the boardroom. He stayed by Lucas's side for hours, holding his hand, reassuring him, and realizing that no deal or empire could ever rival this moment of connection. Isabella watched, tears in her eyes, as Ethan's unwavering dedication shone through. She understood now, this wasn't a fleeting attempt at redemption. This was the man he had truly become. Weeks later, Ethan held a small family gathering in his penthouse, inviting just Isabella and Lucas. The skyline glittered in the night, but the lights of his empire seemed insignificant compared to the warmth radiating from the two people who had become his world. Ethan knelt before Lucas, holding his tiny hands. "I promise to always be here, to love you, guide you, and never let you feel alone," he whispered. Lucas hugged him tightly, and for the first time, Ethan felt complete. Isabella approached, her hand resting on his shoulder. "Thank you for choosing us," she said softly. "I know it wasn't easy, but you've truly changed." Ethan smiled, a quiet confidence now grounded in love. "I didn't choose the easy path," he said. "I chose the right one, and I'll choose it every day for both of you." The three of them stood together, the city lights casting a warm glow over their small but unbreakable family. Ethan realized that power without love was meaningless, ambition without compassion, hollow. Redemption wasn't just about making amends. It was about transformation, becoming the man capable of holding both love and responsibility, of being present and true. As night deepened, Ethan whispered a silent promise to himself. No empire, no deal, no ambition would ever come before the family that had awakened his heart. He had found what truly mattered: love, connection, and the joy of being a father. And finally, for For the first time in years, Ethan Cross felt whole. Life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. Ethan's story reminds us that no matter how busy, successful, or powerful we are, love and family are what truly define us. If you've ever wondered whether it's too late to reconnect with someone you care about, or to embrace a second chance, remember, the heart is never too late to heal. Lucas's innocent trust, Isabella's cautious hope, and Ethan's transformation show us the beauty of vulnerability, forgiveness, and commitment. These moments, small, precious, and deeply emotional, are what make life worth living. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Tell us what you would do if you found a loved one after years apart. Subscribe for more cinematic, heart-touching tales of love, redemption, and family bonds that will leave you inspired and emotional. Your story could be next.